I thought I knew Ryan like a son, until I found that letter on my table, confessing that for 2 years he had been seeing my Mary Beth behind my back. If this story is touching your heart, leave a like so it can reach more people who, like me, know what it's like to trust too much in someone who didn't deserve it. It was a Sunday morning when my life fell apart. Sunday, you know, that day that was always sacred in our home. Sunday with the radio on in the kitchen, the smell of freshly brewed coffee, that peace only those who have lived a long time in a house can feel. I had woken up early, as I always do. At 68, the body just won't let you sleep in, even when your mind is tired. I went to the kitchen to prepare my coffee, passing through the living room as I have for over 40 years, when I saw that white envelope on the mahogany table, a mahogany table that my Connie chose when we got married. She used to say it was the most beautiful piece of furniture in the house, always with a little crocheted doily she made herself, always with a small vase of flowers. Connie passed away 5 years ago, but I keep the table the same way. It's where she served afternoon coffee to visitors, where the girls did their homework, where we celebrated so many birthdays. The envelope was there, simple, white, with my name written in a hand I knew well. Ryan, my son-in-law. The man I had learned to love as if he were my own son. My hand started trembling even before I opened it. I don't know why. Maybe we always know when something bad is coming, even before we're sure. I opened it slowly, like someone who doesn't want to wake up from a good dream or confirm a nightmare. Mr. Anthony, the letter began, I know that after this letter you will hate me, and I understand, but I need to tell the truth before I leave. 2 years ago, Mary Beth and I fell in love. It wasn't planned, it happened in the 2nd year of my relationship with Helen. We tried to resist, but we couldn't anymore. We're leaving together. I took the money from the gifts because we need to start a new life far from here. I ask for your forgiveness for everything. Ryan. I read it 3 times to understand. 3 years dating Helen, 2 years cheating with Mary Beth, 2 years lying to my face, sitting at my table, eating in my house, calling me Dad. Mary Beth, my youngest, the girl who was born when I thought we wouldn't have any more children. She was always the most dreamlike, the one who lived with her head in the clouds, the one who still called me Daddy, even at 32. I sat in the chair at the end of the table, the same chair where my Connie used to sit. The coffee grew cold in the cup. The radio kept playing a country song that I couldn't really hear anymore. Only the sound of my heart beating erratically, and the sound of that trembling piece of paper in my hand. Have you ever felt the ground disappear beneath your feet? Have you ever had the feeling that everything you believed was a lie? In that moment, sitting in my living room with Ryan's letter in my hand, I felt like I had lost not 1 but 2 daughters all at once. 3 months before that cursed letter, I was having the happiest day of my life. At least, that's what I thought. Helen's wedding was on Saturday, April 15th, a date etched into my memory for the wrong reasons. I woke up before sunrise, as nervous as a kid on his first day of school. I had sold the house where I raised my daughters to pay for that party. $100,000 that represented a lifetime of work, savings and dreams. But it was worth every penny to see my Helen happy. She was radiant that day. The dress we chose together, a white one with tiny pearls, seemed to have been made especially for her. When she came down the stairs of my sister's house, where she had spent the night so as not to see the groom before the ceremony, I cried. "Dad, thank you for all this," she said, hugging me tight. "I know the sacrifice you made." Sacrifice. If only I had known I was paying to be betrayed. But at that moment, seeing my eldest daughter so happy, I felt like the richest man in the world. The church was packed. Relatives, friends, neighbors, co-workers. Everyone came to celebrate with us. Ryan looked elegant at the altar, a smile on his face, greeting me with that respectful manner he always had with me. He called me Dad. "Thank you for trusting your daughter to me, Dad," he said when I approached to give her away. "I'll take care of her always." Always. A word that lasted 3 months. During the ceremony, I kept looking at Mary Beth in the first row. She looked beautiful too, in a navy blue dress that highlighted her eyes just like her mother's. She was smiling, happy for her sister. But now, remembering, I can see something different in that smile. A tension that at the time I thought was just the emotion of the moment. Was she already suffering inside? Did she already know she was falling for her brother-in-law? Or had they already been together for a year and she was just putting on a show? The radio here at home plays the same song that played at the party, Evidencias, by Chitauzinho and Chororo. Every time I hear it, I go back to that day. The party was in the city's club hall, decoration with white and pink flowers, Helen's favorites, a dessert table my Connie would have been proud to see, and the gifts. My God, the gifts! Envelope after envelope being handed over by the guests, the usual tradition, money to help the newlyweds start their life. I made a point of collecting some myself, greeting each person, thanking them for their presence, for their affection. Ryan helped receive greetings, organizing the envelopes in a pretty box Helen had bought. He seemed so genuine, so grateful, so family. "Dad, I don't know how to thank you for all this," he said to me during the couple's waltz. "You're an example of a man." Today, those words hurt me more than any insult. The party ended late in the morning. I helped carry the gift box to Ryan's car. It was heavy, full of well-wishes from all those who love us. At least that's what I thought. "I'll deposit this at the bank tomorrow," he said, putting the box in the trunk. "It's $25,000, a lot of responsibility." $25,000. He already knew he was going to steal that money. He already knew he was going to run away with my other daughter. And he was there, wishing me good night, hugging me, calling me Dad. I arrived home exhausted, but fulfilled. I had given my daughter the perfect wedding. Or at least that's what I believed. If I had known that 3 months later I would be reading that letter on the mahogany table, would I have done things differently? But what signs, folks? How can a father suspect that his son-in-law is cheating on his daughter with her own sister? To understand my pain, you need to know my girls, Helen and Mary Beth, the 2 daughters I raised alone after my Connie passed away. Helen was born when I was 26. She was our first child, and I was terrified and emotional at the same time. She came into the world on a September morning, screaming loudly as if she already wanted to show she had a strong personality. And she always did. She was a determined child, one of those who, when she set her mind to something, wouldn't give up. I remember her at 5 insisting on learning to ride a bike. She'd fall, scrape her knee, cry for 2 minutes, and get back on. That's how she always faced life, with that strength I admire to this day. Mary Beth arrived 10 years later. A good surprise, a blessing that God decided to give us when we had already resigned ourselves to Helen being an only child. She came quietly, slept through the night from a young age, but already showed she was different from her sister. Where Helen was determined, Mary Beth was a dreamer. She'd spend hours looking out the window, making up stories, drawing princesses in her notebooks. At school, teachers always said she had her head in the clouds. Connie used to say she had the soul of an artist. The 2 were always close, despite the age and personality difference. Helen protected her little sister like a protective mother. She'd take her to school, help with homework, teach her how to dress nicely. Mary Beth would follow her sister everywhere, but always in her own way. A bit distracted, a bit in a world of her own. In the kitchen of our old house, there was a round table where we had breakfast every day. My Connie used to make cornmeal cake every Sunday, and the girls would fight over who got to lick the pan. It always ended with both of them licking it together, one on each side, laughing that sweet way happy kids do. When Connie got sick, the 2 united to take care of her, but each in her own way. Helen took responsibility for the house, organized medications, doctors, treatments. Mary Beth would spend hours keeping her mother company, reading magazines, painting her nails, making up stories to distract her from the pain. After we lost Connie, our house became quieter. Helen, already an adult, continued taking care of everything with that strength of hers. Mary Beth, who was 27 at the time, seemed to have become even more of a dreamer, as if the pain had made her retreat even further into her own world. It was Helen who introduced Ryan to the family. They had been dating for 6 months when she brought him home for dinner for the first time. I remember that night perfectly. Ryan arrived with flowers for me and a book of poems for Mary Beth. "Your sister has the soul of a poet," he told Helen in front of all of us. I thought she'd like it. Mary Beth blushed, taking the book in her shy way. It was Sonnets by Camoys. To this day, I wonder if that's when it all began. During the 3 years he dated Helen, Ryan became a constant presence at home. He'd come for Sunday dinner, help with small repairs, and talk with me about football and work. With Mary Beth, he was always affectionate, but in the way a brother-in-law should be. At least that's what it seemed like. He'd ask about the books she was reading, listen when she talked about the art classes she was taking in college, and give his opinion on her drawings. Helen thought it was nice to see her husband taking an interest in her sister. "It's good that he likes Mary Beth," Helen would say to me. "Many men think a sister-in-law is trouble." Trouble. If only she knew the extent of the trouble. During the wedding preparations, the three of them would go out together to choose things. Ryan would give his opinion on flowers, Helen would decide on the food, Mary Beth would suggest decoration details. They'd come home laughing, talking about their plans, looking like a happy family. How many times during these outings did Ryan and Mary Beth stay alone while Helen was taking care of something for work? How many times did they exchange glances, hold hands, kiss, while I thought they were helping with my eldest daughter's wedding? The pain of discovering that your two daughters, whom you raised to be friends, became rivals because of a man. It's a soul-crushing pain. It's as if someone took your best memories and poisoned them. Today, when I remember the two girls licking the cake pan their mother made, I wonder if Mary Beth was always capable of this. If that dreamy, distracted way didn't hide a person capable of betraying her own sister. Or if it was passion that changed her. If it was Ryan who awakened a Mary Beth I didn't know. I don't know if I'll ever have those answers. What I do know is that I lost them both at once. One because she was betrayed, the other because she became a betrayer. And here I am trying to understand how we got to this point. There's something that hurts more than the betrayal itself. Remembering how you lovingly built a relationship that was being used to deceive you. Ryan didn't arrive in our family like a hurricane. He slowly gained our respect, with small but constant gestures. Gestures that today I realize were calculated. On the first Christmas he spent with us, he showed up with thoughtful gifts for everyone. For me, a special screwdriver I had mentioned I needed for the workshop. For Helen, a perfume she had seen in a store and mentioned she liked. For Mary Beth, that book of poems. "I paid attention when you talked about those things," he said that day. Family is about that, remembering what's important to the people you love. At the time, I thought he was considerate. Today, I realize he was studying us. During the first year of dating, Ryan came here every week. He'd help fix what was broken, carry heavy groceries, and chat with me on the porch after dinner. We talked about football, work, life. "Dad," he once said, while we were fixing the garage gate, "you're the kind of man I want to be when I'm your age. Hard-working, honest, who puts family first." Honest. He said that word looking into my eyes, with that sincerity that won me over from day one. In the second year of their relationship, Ryan was already treated like a son of the house. He had a key to the house, knew where everything was, participated in family decisions. That's when he started showing more attention to Mary Beth. He began by asking about her studies, then about the books she read, then about the boyfriends she had. Mary Beth was dating John at the time, a guy from college, a relationship that lasted almost a year. "John doesn't deserve Mary Beth," Ryan commented to me once. "She's too special for a guy who doesn't care about art, poetry, the things she likes." At the time, I thought he was being protective, like an older brother. Today, I realize he was planting the idea that he knew Mary Beth better than her own boyfriend. When Mary Beth broke up with John, Ryan was the one who comforted her. They talked on the porch late into the night, him saying she deserved someone who understood her sensitivity, who valued her intelligence. Helen thought it was nice to see her husband taking care of her sister. "He's going to be a wonderful brother-in-law," she used to tell me. In the third year of their relationship, according to the letter he left, the betrayal began. It started at the moment I trusted him the most, when he was already considered part of the family. Now, remembering that period, I can identify some changes. Ryan became more attentive to Mary Beth, but in a way that seemed natural. He'd bring books he said he'd seen and remembered her. He'd ask about the drawings she made. He'd offer rides when I couldn't take her to college. "Let me take Mary Beth," he'd say to Helen. You stay and tidy things up here." Helen would be tidying things up, and they'd go together. How many times did they stop along the way? How many times, instead of going straight to college, did they go somewhere they could be alone? There was one afternoon I came home early from work and found the two of them in the kitchen, talking softly. When they saw me, they quickly moved away and changed the subject to something about Helen's wedding. "We were planning a surprise for Helen," Ryan explained, with that smile I knew well. Maybe they really were planning a surprise. The surprise of running away together. The worst part is remembering how I encouraged this closeness. How many times did I ask Ryan to pick up Mary Beth somewhere? How many times did I leave the two of them alone at home while Helen and I went out to take care of something? "Stay with Mary Beth, Ryan," I'd say. "I won't be long." And he'd stay. With my youngest daughter, in my house, using the trust I placed in him to betray my family. The betrayal wasn't just Mary Beth's and Ryan's. It was mine too. A betrayal against my own paternal intuition, against my protective instincts. I was responsible for taking care of my two daughters, and I ended up putting one of them in the hands of the man who would destroy the other. How does a man learn to trust again after something like that? How do we rebuild the ability to believe in people when we discover we've been deceived for 2 years straight by those we loved most? These are questions that keep me company every night, when I'm here alone listening to the radio play the same songs that played when I still believed I had a united family. The house. Our house. The place where my daughters were born, where my Connie lived her best years, where we built all the important dreams of our family. To pay for Helen's wedding, I sold our house. It wasn't an easy decision. When Helen got engaged and we started calculating the cost of the wedding she had dreamed of since she was a little girl, we realized my retirement and savings wouldn't be enough. The house was worth exactly what we needed, $100,000. A coincidence that at the time I interpreted as a sign of destiny, as if life was telling me that's exactly what I should do. "Dad, you don't have to sell the house," Helen said when I suggested the idea. "We can have a simpler party." But I didn't want a simple party for my eldest. I wanted her to have the wedding of her dreams, the one every girl imagines from a young age. I wanted her to feel like the most special woman in the world on the most important day of her life. "Daughter, we can build another house," I replied, "but a wedding is once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime. If only I had known it would last 3 months. The selling process was painful from day one. I had to call a real estate agent to appraise the house, listen to him talk about square footage, location, condition, as if he were talking about any product. It wasn't a product, it was my entire life within those walls. In the room that was mine and Connie's, her perfume still lingered in the closet. In the girls' room, there were still star stickers on the ceiling that we put up when Helen was 7. In the kitchen, there was still a mark on the tile where Mary Beth dropped a pot playing cook at 4 years old. How do you put a price on something like that? The buyers were a young couple, pregnant with their first child. When they came to visit the house, I saw the sparkle in their eyes, the excitement of someone realizing a dream, the same sparkle that Connie and I had when we bought this house 40 years ago. "It's a good house to raise children," I told them as we showed them the rooms. "There's a lot of love in these walls." The kitchen radio played softly while they toured the house, the same song Connie used to listen to when she made cornmeal cake on Sundays. For a moment, I almost gave up on the sale, but Helen held my hand. "Dad, they'll be happy here just like we were." The day we signed the papers was one of the hardest of my life. Sitting at the notary's office, signing document after document, handing over the keys to the house where I built my family. My hands trembled, not from nervousness but from pure emotion. Helen was with me, holding my hand throughout the entire process. "Thank you, Dad," she whispered in my ear. "You're the best dad in the world." Ryan was there too. He hugged me after I signed the last paper. "Dad, I promise I'll take care of Helen just like you did. She's going to be very happy." Empty promise. Another lie told looking into my eyes. With the money from the sale, I paid for a small apartment near downtown where I'm living now. 2 bedrooms, small living room, open-plan kitchen, all very different from the big house where we raised the girls, but it was fine. The important thing was that Helen would have the perfect wedding. The week before the wedding, I went to the old house, which was no longer mine, to pick up a few last things. The new couple was already living there. They had moved some furniture around, painted one wall of the baby's room blue. I stopped on the back porch where we used to spend Sunday afternoons, where Helen did her homework while Connie tended to the plants, where Mary Beth drew her princesses while I read the newspaper in the rocking chair. I took the house keys from my pocket. I still carry them to this day, I don't know why, and felt the weight of 40 years of life. This is where I was happiest, I thought, and I'm giving all of this up so my daughter can be happy too. If only I had known I was giving up my happiness, and on top of that being robbed. Today, living in this small apartment without money, without savings, without my daughters, I keep wondering if it was worth it. If I hadn't sold the house, Helen would have gotten married anyway, perhaps with a smaller party, and I would still have my home, my memories preserved, my financial security. But I also think about this. If I hadn't sold the house, would I have discovered that Ryan and Mary Beth were together anyway? Or would I have continued to be deceived for longer? Perhaps the house was the price I paid to discover the truth. An expensive truth, a truth that left me devastated, but at least it was the truth. Sometimes I drive past the old house. I see the new plants the couple planted in the garden, the different curtains in the windows, the small bicycle in the yard. Their child has already been born, and I'm happy for them. At least someone is happy in that house. At least the love we built there for 40 years wasn't completely lost. It's still there in the walls in the garden, in the smell of cake that must still come from the kitchen on Sundays. The house is gone, but the memories remain, and no one can steal that from me. Not Ryan, not Mary Beth, not anyone. After I read Ryan's letter, my house fell silent. A heavy silence, the kind that hurts more than any shout. I turn on the radio to try to fill this void, but even the songs seem sad. Helen showed up here on the second day after the letter. Her face was swollen from crying so much, her eyes red, looking like someone who hadn't slept properly in a long time. "Dad, I didn't know anything," was the first thing she said, even before sitting down. I looked at her, my eldest daughter, and saw a devastated woman. Her wedding dress was still hanging in the closet of the apartment she shared with Ryan. She couldn't even look at that dress. "I believe you, daughter," I replied, hugging her tight. "You were deceived too." We stayed there, father and daughter, crying together in the small living room of this apartment. Crying for Mary Beth, who disappeared, for Ryan, who betrayed us, for the money that was gone, for the family that fell apart. "How could she do this to me, Dad?" Helen asked between sobs. "How could my own sister?" I didn't know what to answer. How does a father explain to one daughter that the other daughter betrayed her? How do you find words for such pain? Days passed, and Mary Beth remained missing. She didn't answer the phone, didn't reply to messages, didn't send any news, as if she had simply vanished from the face of the earth along with Ryan and the $25,000 from the gifts. Helen tried to talk to some of her friends, but no one knew anything. Or at least that's what they said. Maybe some knew and were protecting her. Maybe she had asked them not to tell where she was. "She blocked me on WhatsApp," Helen told me a week after the discovery. "My own sister blocked me." The pain in Helen's voice broke my heart. It wasn't just the pain of being betrayed by her husband. It was the pain of being betrayed by the person she trusted most in the world after me. The wedding guests started asking about the gift money. Mrs. Miller, our neighbor for 20 years, came here to see if she could help in any way. "Mr. Anthony, I know it's none of my business," she said, embarrassed, "but I gave $300 as a gift, and my daughter heard that Ryan disappeared with everything. $300. For Mrs. Miller, who is a pensioner and barely makes ends meet, $300 represented a lot of sacrifice. She took it from her savings to help us, and Ryan stole it. "Mrs. Miller, I will return your money," I promised. "I don't know when, but I will." She said it wasn't necessary, that it wasn't my fault, but I insisted. It wasn't a matter of fault. It was a matter of dignity, of honor, of not letting Ryan's villainy stain our family's name any more than it already had. I made a list of all the guests I remembered giving money. There were over 80 people. I roughly calculated $25,000, exactly what Ryan had mentioned at the party. $25,000 that he took as if it were his own. How will I manage to return that amount? With my retirement of $1,300 a month, it will take years, but I will return it, one by one, even if it takes the rest of my life. Helen wanted to help me. "Dad, let's share this debt," she said. "I feel responsible too." But I wouldn't let her. She wasn't to blame for anything. She had been deceived just like me. The difference was that she lost a husband. I lost 2 daughters. 2 weeks after the discovery, something happened that caught me off guard. The phone rang in the middle of the night. When I answered, I recognized the voice immediately. "Dad?" Mary Beth said from the other end of the line. "Dad, I need to talk to you." My heart pounded. It was my youngest daughter, the voice I had known since she was a baby. But at the same time, it was the voice of a stranger, of someone who had destroyed our family. "Mary Beth," I managed to say, "where are you?" "Dad, I know you hate me now, but I need to explain." "Explain what?" I interrupted. "That you betrayed your sister, that you ran away with her husband, that you stole money from our friends." She started crying on the other end of the line, a cry that hurt me, because it was the same cry as when she was little and got hurt playing. "Dad, I fell in love. It wasn't my fault. I tried to fight it, but—" "Tried to fight?" I asked, feeling the anger rise. "For 2 years you tried to fight, sitting at my table, eating in my house, watching your sister make wedding plans." "Dad, please." "No," I said, and my voice came out harsher than I intended. "You made your choice, Mary Beth. You chose him instead of your family. You chose betrayal instead of honesty. Now live with the consequences." "Dad, I want to come home." "This is no longer your home," I replied. "Your home is wherever you are with Ryan now." I hung up the phone. I hung up on my own daughter, and I cried like I hadn't cried since the day Connie died. Helen was sleeping here that night. She had come to keep me company, and woke up with the sound of the phone. When she saw my state, she didn't need to ask who had called. "It was her, wasn't it, Dad?" I nodded, unable to speak. "What did she want?" "She wanted to come back," I managed to say. "Said she fell in love, that it wasn't her fault." Helen was silent for a while. Then she said something that surprised me. "Dad, maybe we should listen to her." I looked at my eldest daughter, the daughter who was betrayed, suggesting we give a chance to the one who betrayed her. "Helen, Dad, I can't forgive her now. Maybe I never will. But she's still our family. She's still my sister." Helen's generosity moved me and angered me at the same time. How could she have such a big heart after everything that happened? "Daughter, some things are unforgivable." "I know, Dad, but some things also can't be undone, and we need to decide if we want to carry this anger forever or try to find a way to move forward." Move forward. How does a 68-year-old man move forward after discovering that everything he believed was a lie? Nights continued to be the worst. I sit here on the living room couch looking at my cell phone, thinking about Mary Beth's call, thinking about her words, her crying, her pain, because as much as she hurt us, she was also suffering. And that confuses me, leaves me lost between anger and longing. Did she really regret it? Has her passion for Ryan faded? And has she realized what she lost? Or did she call because life away from home isn't what she imagined? You who are listening to me, tell me, how does a father deal with a situation like this? How do you forgive the unforgivable? How do you continue loving someone who hurt you so deeply? I don't know the answers. I just know that call affected me more than I'd like to admit. And that, despite all the anger, a part of me still hopes the phone rings again. 2 months have passed since that cursed letter. A month since Mary Beth's call that left me more confused than before. 2 months trying to understand how life goes on after everything falls apart. This morning, something different happened. Helen came here with a proposal. "Dad, I found an apartment for rent, 2 blocks from here. What do you think about us living together for a while?" I looked at my daughter and saw that she also needed company. That loneliness was weighing on her as much as it was on me. That perhaps by joining our sorrows, we could share the burden. "You're not going to mess with my stubborn old man's freedom, are you?" I joked, trying to get a smile out of her. And she smiled. The first genuine smile I'd seen on Helen's face since the day of the letter. We moved last week. A bigger apartment, with 3 bedrooms, one for me, one for her, and one that became an office and sewing room. Helen always liked to sew, a habit she inherited from her mother. She says that sewing helps her not to think about other things. We are relearning to be a family, just the two of us. She makes breakfast, I take care of dinner. She washes the clothes, I iron them. We split the bills, we split the chores, we split the silence when the longing gets strong. The kitchen radio plays the same old songs. Evidencias played last night while we were having dinner. Helen stopped eating for a moment, looked at me. Dad, sometimes I feel angry, sometimes I feel longing. Is that normal? I think so, daughter, I replied. I think love and anger can exist at the same time when you love someone who hurt you. Last night, while we were watching television, Helen asked me a question that caught me off guard. Dad, would you forgive Mary Beth if she came back? I was silent for a while. It's a difficult question, one of those you don't know the answer to until you're confronted with it. I don't know, daughter, I answered honestly. I think forgiveness is a process. It's not a decision you make overnight. I don't know if I could forgive her either, Helen confessed. But sometimes I miss my little sister, the person she was before all of this. I miss her too. As much as she hurt us, as much as she made a terrible choice, she is still my daughter. She is still the girl I taught to draw, who helped me take care of the garden, who called me Daddy even after she grew up. Last week, I managed to return the first $2,000 of the gifts to Mrs. Miller and a few other neighbors. It was little, but it was a start. The feeling of honoring my word, even in a situation that wasn't my fault, gave me a strength I hadn't felt in months. Dad, you didn't have to do that, Mrs. Miller said when I took the money to her house. Yes, I do, Mrs. Miller. To sleep in peace. And it's true. Since I started returning the money, even little by little, I can sleep better. Not because of the debt itself, but because I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Helen got a new job, a saleswoman at a clothing store downtown. She doesn't make much, but she said she needs to keep busy. She needs to rebuild her life. Dad, I'm going to get married again someday, she told me the other day. Not now, not soon, but someday. And when that happens, it will be a small party, just for the family. And if your sister wants to come, I asked. She was silent for a while. Then we'll see, right, Dad? Maybe things will be different by then. That's what we're doing, taking it as it comes, living one day at a time, without big plans, without high expectations, just trying to find small joys amidst the pain. Yesterday, while Helen was sewing and I was reading the newspaper, a song played on the radio that we used to listen to when the girls were little. A song by Sandy and Junior that they sang together in the car. I looked at Helen and saw a tear rolling down her face. I got up, turned down the radio, sat next to her on the couch. Longing really hurts, I said. It does, she agreed, but I think we'll learn to live with it. Living with longing. Perhaps that's what life is teaching me at this age, that some wounds don't fully heal, but we learn to live with them. That true love doesn't disappear, even when it's met with betrayal. I don't know if I'll ever see Mary Beth again. I don't know if she'll call again, if she'll try to come back, if she'll ask for forgiveness in a way I can accept. I don't know if I'd have the strength to forgive. What I do know is that today I managed to go the whole day without anger, just with longing. And maybe that's already progress. Helen is humming in the kitchen while she prepares dinner, a soft song, almost a whisper, but it's the first time I've heard her sing since the wedding. Small signs that life goes on, that, even shattered, we still have the capacity for small joys. The keys to the old house are still in my pocket. Sometimes I pick them up without thinking, feel the cold weight of the metal in my hand. They are keys that no longer open anything, but I still carry them. Perhaps because some things you can't let go of even when you should. And you who have listened to my story this far, tell me one thing. Is there a right way to deal with the betrayal of those you love most? Does time really heal everything? Or do we just learn to hurt less? I don't know the answers. Why? But I know that as long as I have my Helen by my side, as long as I can honor my word by returning the gift money, as long as I can get out of bed every day and find a reason to continue, maybe that's enough. Maybe rebuilding isn't going back to how things were before. Maybe rebuilding is learning to be different, but still whole. Today marks 4 months since that letter on the mahogany table. 4 months since I discovered that the man I called my son had been deceiving me for 2 years with my youngest daughter. It still hurts. I still feel angry. I still wake up some days asking how we got to this point. But I also wake up other days grateful to have discovered the truth, to have my Helen by my side, to still have the strength to start over at 68. Mary Beth hasn't called again. Sometimes I wait. Sometimes I'm relieved she hasn't called. It's a confusing feeling of a father who loves and hates at the same time, of a man who wants justice but also wants his daughter back. Helen and I are building a new routine, a new life. It's not the family I dreamed of having at this age, but it's the family I have left. And perhaps it's enough. I've already managed to return almost $5,000 of the gifts. 20,000 are still missing, but I will return everything. Man's word. Even if it takes years, even if it's the last act of my life, I will honor our family's name. I don't know if this story has a happy ending. I don't know if I'll ever see Mary Beth again, if she'll apologize, if we'll be able to be a family again. I don't know if Ryan will take responsibility for what he did, if he'll return the money he stole. What I do know is that I chose not to let their malice completely destroy what I built during a lifetime. I chose to honor my word, to take care of the daughter who stayed, to learn to live with the longing for the one who left. And you, who have accompanied me this far, who have heard this difficult story of an old man who is still learning to deal with pain, tell me one thing. Have you also had to start over when you thought you had no more strength? Have you also discovered that the people you trusted most were deceiving you? If so, know that you are not alone, that the pain you feel is real, but that it is also possible to find the strength to continue, that starting over doesn't mean forgetting, but it means choosing not to let the past completely destroy your future. Now tell me where you are listening from, if this story touched your heart in any way. And if you know someone who is also going through a difficult family situation, share this story with them. Sometimes, knowing that we are not alone in our pain is already a beginning of healing. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for giving me the chance to share with you this pain I carry in my chest. By talking about it, it becomes a little lighter, a hug from this old man who still believes that true love, even when hurt, is stronger than any betrayal.